Come on, come here, come a little closer. Don't be afraid, no. I don't
Some
wanna
people
hurt you.
chase freedom. Cheryl LaTray designs it. As a real estate investor, educator, and founder of Freedom by Design, Cheryl approaches wealth as structure, not status. She teaches that financial independence isn't accidental. It's built through clarity, discipline, and decisions made long before the results are visible. What stands out about her leadership is its steadiness. No performance, no noise, just strategy aligned with conviction. This conversation explores what it means to move from survival to sovereignty and help others create legacy in the same way. Cheryl, I'm so honored that you're here.
I am so excited to spend some time with you and
Yes, you know, when we were chatting about your story, I think the most powerful thing that really stuck out to me and really stuck with me was when you shared the story with me about becoming a single mom and having these beautiful 7 babies that went along this journey with you. You know, there's so many women, and myself included, when my husband and I were separated, who are raising children on their own. And it can feel so defeating to want to achieve your goals and not really know how to juggle these things. But for you, that just wasn't an obstacle. So tell us, how did that begin?
Thank you. I certainly didn't have 7 kids thinking I'd be doing it as a single mom. So I don't feel like I was prepared for it when it happened. Mm-hmm. And so it was like success was the only option. It was very much a defining moment that I want to be successful and have the children proud of our life together, even though I was a single mom.
Yeah. There was this like resilience in you. You know, I think you even mentioned you went back to school with all of your 7 children.
I did. So as I went through transitioning, I was a young mom. So I was a young single mom. So there was a big part of all that I was doing was kind of like learning and growing while I'm still, parenting. And the only thing I knew to do was to bring them along this journey. So very quickly after becoming single, an example would be I had a 9-unit apartment building. One apartment was occupied. I had 8 that I had to redo. Mm-hmm. So for a year and a half, I would bring the kids with me to redo all of these apartments and get them back up to speed to be rented. Something that I would do, for example, a contractor was like, hey, I could do this for you for $400. And I would be like, can I give you $450? And now you show us. And so I have 5 sons, and they would show us. And interesting enough, my sons all do construction.
Wow.
They are all in the field. They all can flip houses. They are all now doing the very thing that they think they spontaneously learned.
Yeah. And that in and of itself is a little piece of that legacy, right? That came through in their journeys where you were kind of bringing them with you as you built.
A little kind of fun story. So when I would load up at this 9-unit apartment building with the children, and we'd get back in and head back home. The reward was McDonald's McFlurry. We'd pull through in an 11-passenger van. We'd get McFlurries. So about a year ago, I was talking to my son, who is in the process of flipping a house, and he had just gone through McDonald's. And I said, do you remember when we were doing that when you guys were younger? And he starts laughing. He goes, I just ordered a McDonald's McFlurry. I'm like, are you serious? And so I asked the other kids, and 1 or 2 of them do it as well. So it was impactful.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I did go back to school as a single mom, and not many people would or should drag their kids to school with them. It's not normal. One of the courses that I studied was entrepreneurship, and I have a son who's just hardwired. And I said, how do you feel about attending this class? The professor gave me permission, and we would write business plans in this class. And so at one point I had said to the son, what do you think of this business idea? And he looked at me and goes, okay, so tell me what your break even is. And I was like, yeah. He's getting it.
You're like, I love this. Yeah. It's going so great.
Yeah. So, the journey is bringing the kids with me. The only way I knew how to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I know for me, I had 2 boys and I couldn't have even wrapped my mind around having 7 children and building this incredible empire that you have built. I guess if you had to think back on it, what were some of maybe the beliefs or the values or the philosophies that you held on to help get you through that? Because I can only imagine that you had to have been stretched in a million directions at once on every day of the week.
Mm-hmm. The inner conversation was a hard one all the time because I was a stay-home mom before that. And all the decisions was, how can I create income so I could be back home? But it ended up taking me further from being home, which led to more stressful inner conversation. And, so the belief was I wanted more time with the kids like I had, and that there is a way to create that. And so it was, repeatedly trying to get back there. I feel like I didn't hit that. I didn't hit work-life balance. I didn't get back there. One of the biggest ahas that I had would have been right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I was coming off of a significant number of flips. I had 20-something properties flipping at the same time. And time can be your enemy if you're taking too long with flipping houses. And I was just getting behind and was very overwhelmed. And I needed to do wait a minute, what's going on?
Yeah.
And a reset. And so this would have been January of 2020. And what I had realized was I was trying to do too much because I wanted them to feel like, we're a successful family and not to be defined by, a single mom was a situation. And what was really profound when I just paused for a minute and realized I am stressing myself, doing too much, and why, and it was still in this not balanced life of trying to figure this out. I had a conversation with every single one of them. And, the kids this has been a almost 30-year journey. So the kids are now parents. They now have children, all that kind of stuff. So there's another lens that they look through when we're having these conversations. And I had said, I pushed too hard. I've tried to show you guys that we can be successful, a successful family kind of a thing. And what was interesting is every one of them was like, we don't care about that part. We want to, whether you're doing one, you're doing 24 of them, whether you're, that's not what defines us.
Yeah.
And it was a big, big, big reset. And it was incredible conversations with every one of them. And I then realigned. And I happen to love real estate. I love what I do. So it's now doing it with this whole level of joy. The balance is now there in a much greater way. I now do it with them in their houses. I am not trying to do it to prove anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that the kids are all older, we made it. We did it. And so it's the best season. Like the last 5 years after letting go of that and trying to push so hard and do so much instead to be worthy, I should say, is to try to do it that way. Instead to do it out of love and joy and fun is an incredible freedom feeling. And so like the last 5-6 years, and it's been 35 years of flipping and doing real estate, but this last 5-6 years have been the most amazing, fulfilling, a little bit more balanced. I don't know if I'll ever be balanced. But
close enough.
But just loving it. Just absolutely loving it.
That's amazing. I think you hit on something that I think there's a lot of people who can relate with, and definitely for single moms. And again, I had a period of my life in that space as well. But I think most people could relate with this desire, right, to just maybe do better, provide more for your kids than you got, give them a life a lifestyle that they're comfortable with, that they can enjoy life, that they have happy memories. And sometimes and I know I've done it too, they like put so much pressure on ourselves.
Absolutely.
That the reality is from our kids' eyes, right? They just want us.
Yes, for sure.
And it sounds like you found this amazing way to both pursue all of your dreams and make all of them happen. But now you're doing them in a way that really brings in this love and this joy, and they're a part of it. And I just think that's so beautiful, because I feel like there's a lot of single moms out there putting entirely too much pressure on themselves, and really their babies just want them happy and healthy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I know for you, the major driver behind all of this was really legacy. And I know there was like some major turning points for you, many of which really encompass a lot of this prosperity consciousness that you talk about. So what were some of these turning points and maybe aha moments that came along with them?
As I mentioned, that one was probably one of my top ones. But this concept that for, I want to say 20 years was very, here's a business plan to accomplish this year. Here's the annual goals, the quarterly goals, the now monthly goals. Let's strive. Let's just push. Let's go, push. And it was efforting was very much how I thought I could create wealth. I also love the idea of, manifestation. So I certainly had a vision board and I had everything. And for a couple of years, I would just morning and night, look at this. One of my really big ahas was to realize that neither of those are the complete solution, and that having joy and gratitude and love as a core allows all of these things to happen. And a even bigger part of that is you're striving and pushing, and maybe you hit it, maybe you don't, or manifesting, you hit it, maybe you don't, is the concept or the inner conversation that you're always having is, I didn't do it. I'm not worthy. I'm not getting it right. And doubt in worthiness, doubt in what am I trying? Why do I do this? Why do I think I can? Why? Sort of an idea. And I want to say, I wish I wasn't in my 50s when I realized that it isn't that. It isn't, but getting to a place where I'm worthy, I am enough, I can do these things, and saying, I was literally in my 50s for the first time that I ever said, I love you, Cheryl. I love you for your trying. I love you for not hitting it and keep going. And that profound change and peace that was like, okay, you're not perfect, love you anyway, was a foreign, brand new conversation. I don't think a lot of people actually have that conversation. And it allows you to take risks. It allows you to be bold in times when you might not. And really, the energy from that sort of an idea has changed my outlook on so many things. So it would be one thing to go accomplish lots in real estate and not really be happy and not like yourself.
Yeah.
And to, it's just such a big, it had such a profound change. That would be something I would love to say to moms, that love yourself.
Yeah.
You're worthy. You got this.
Yes, and you are enough. I know this doesn't just affect women. I know men struggle with this as well, but for most of the women that I chat with, this is really an ongoing, very pervasive issue. And it doesn't matter how successful they are, how beautiful they are, it's literally all of us that are constantly wrestling with this. Sure. And, better late than never, right? That we get to that point. But when you do get there, and you can love on yourself and create grace and space for yourself, right? And, maybe I didn't knock that one out of the park, or I could have handled that one a little bit better, right? But not making it this thing that we become kind of our own punching bag, right? We become our own worst enemy because, to your point, it's that love, it's that joy, it's that gratitude that it shines from the inside out. You can see it on people, right? Like you just exude that glow of gratitude and joy and love. It's visible and it's pervasive, right? It comes out in everything you do, every interaction that you have, every email that you send, every phone call that you make. So it ties back to this prosperity piece and this legacy piece, because as you're walking the world and sharing this joy and sharing this gratitude and sharing this love, in addition to your incredible skill set, man, you leave an impression, So one of my affirmations is to be so full of love that it overflows to everybody around me. I love that. So, can I use that one too?
You bet. So there's 3 things that I do say. One is that I'm whole, the journey and the mistakes and the things we go through, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
And we can still be whole. That I am full, and I'm so full of love that it overflows. Those are the people that are magnetic. If you ever meet, I spend some time with people that are just, oh my gosh, that's so fun to be with you, and realize that they were just so full, it overflowed. So that is, I want to be that. And the third is free. And that is where the financial freedom comes in. So those are my 3 affirmations, the 3 things that I remind myself all the time. I'm whole, I'm full, and I'm free.
Freedom is my number 1 value. So we have that very much in common. I went to an 8-hour seminar one day on values, which when I say that, people are like, 8 hours on your values? I was like, it was one of the most powerful days of my life to really dig into them, right? And be like, why is this a value? Absolutely. Where did this come from? And what does it make me feel? And how does it add to my life? And freedom ended up being my number 1 value. So when you talk about freedom, it lights up everything inside me. But I'd love to hear from you, being someone who has sought this freedom and has this desire for legacy, like, what was the motivation for the freedom? And then when you got it, you decided, not just freedom, I want to create legacy. So how did that come together for you?
I love this question because 2003, I was inspired by the book by Hiram Smith, The 10 Natural and Effective Laws of Life Success. And he said, take the challenge to write your governing values. Write them out. I actually spent about 3 months on this. What are my real values? What do I really want to do? So I, in 2003, wrote, these are the things that are really important to me. I actually review this document every year in my on and my off, or if I'm trying to make a decision and I just can't figure out, I'll go review it. Or if there is I'm off, I'm like, what value am I not honoring right now? Yeah. So in 2003, when I wrote this document, I said, these are the values, and quite a bit associated with freedom and children was in there. On a fun note, one thing I did right in 2003, as the kids were still kind of young, this is before families, and nothing like a household of 7 teenagers when you're doing this.
Can't imagine. I got 2, my hands are full.
And I remember thinking, I just want to be around them, even when they're older and adults and have families. And so in this document, I put that wherever the kids go, I'm going to have a house near where they are. And, I told them about it. Threatened them with it. And I can say 6 out of 7, I have a house within 10 minutes across the country with them. So it's kind of fun.
And it creates this freedom for you, or for you get to be a mom and you get to be a grandmom. And it creates this legacy because you're also, the impact it has on your grandbabies, I'm sure, is tremendous.
Well, the other core part of this document, when you say, here's the governing values, these are what are really important to me. I put in there what I would want the children to say at the end when we're done. And so that was hard. And the kids are like, what are you?
Why did you send us your eulogy, Mom? Like, is there something you need to talk about?
Exactly. But it helps focus. There's definitely family events, family different things. And you're like, you know what? Is this what I want to be remembered, or is this? And it's a guiding document when you really think of, we will end. What is the legacy you want to leave behind? And, to stay on task with that. So I feel like I started this journey in 2003, where I was living intentional with the end in mind. I've honored almost everything on it. I guess it means I get to live a little longer because I'm not done, and keep going with it. But it was, so freedom was in there, prosperity was in there, love and joy with the children and spending time with them. All of that was in there. So it's been an intentional kind of zigzag. You try things, you retry them, you recalculate. Oh, that didn't work. Try something else.
Yeah. So I feel like so many of us, we're programmed, right, throughout our life, whether it's, limitations that we have or self-sabotaging types of beliefs or some of these, terrible thought patterns that we can get into. As you were moving towards this, creating freedom through yourself and wealth building, but before you got there, I'm sure there were a couple things that you had to unlearn.
For sure.
What were some of the things that you maybe wrestled with before you got to this consciousness of freedom and legacy and integrating all these things into your life?
Guilt spending. So when holidays would come up and birthdays for the children and different things, and so we'd have a tight budget, but I wanted more than to say to them, hey, so I would borrow or put things in credit cards, and then you wrestle with that. And I remember thinking, why am I doing that? And it was, so I called it guilt spending. I would do it. So that is one of the things that I had to wrestle for sure. And going back, it would be something that I would undo.
Yeah, I remember that. My mom was also a single mom, and Christmases and birthdays were always really tough. And it's something as an adult I remember, and as an adult, I actually had to literally make my mom stop. like this was up to just a couple of years ago. So I'm glad you gave me that language, guilt spending, because I've been like, why does she do this? Because, it makes her so happy and it's so beautiful. And I don't want to come off as ungrateful. But I also understand her financial position, and I'm like, and you're doing all this, and it's, nowadays it's different. Everything's electronic, right? So we all have a bunch of stuff that we don't need and we don't use, and I'm like, can you not put yourself out to get me a bunch of stuff that, I don't need or don't use anyway? I just want your presence. I just want you here. I want to enjoy the day together. I want to maybe play a couple games, do a little karaoke, have a few drinks, cook together, right? That's what I want.
Nice.
And we're there now. And I'm super grateful that we're there now. But that's a really enlightening point, because I think especially... And same for me, in the season of my life that I was a single mom, early on, there were definitely some financial strains and that feeling of not being enough. Right.
So one of the Christmases, I was going to be speaking at an event, and it was our family story. It was the 10 lessons on becoming resilient. And for various circumstances, I was not able to deliver that keynote. But it was us. It was the first time I had really this was all the stuff we've, gone through. So I did actually record. I went and recorded that. And that Christmas that was very lean, I opened up this little, recording, and I said, I may not ever be able to give you an inheritance, but I can give you a heritage. And it's a heritage of being resilient, of overcoming, of thinking bigger than what you see, and a few other things associated with that. So that was a Christmas gift. So I recorded it. And for each one of the kids, a little piece of parchment paper, I wrote a very personalized, this is us, but this is what makes you great. And just kind of very personalized, folded it up, put it with the CD, and they got it in their stockings. And for a couple of years, I never heard a thing about this. So this idea was kind of like, I misfired. I misfired. My parents, my sisters were like, that. They were, it was tear jerking, and they were like, wow, that was pretty, intense. And yet my kids were just not moving.
Silent. Like kids are.
Exactly. So my oldest son was we were in the final hours to take him to the airport for his second 1-year deployment. Mm-hmm. Very hard, very stressed. And we're getting ready to leave. I take out a piece of paper and I'm writing something very similar. This is you're so awesome. This is, important that you know how loved you are. And he asked me, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I said, I need to know before you leave that you know how much I love you and how important. And he goes, is this like that piece of paper that you wrote with this CD?
Yeah, kind of like that.
And I go, oh my God, yes. And I was very wound up. I was very intense. I was like, did you listen to that? Did you read that? Oh my God. No one has said anything for a couple of years. Please tell me. And he looked at me and he got very serious. And he said, I wear that letter in my uniform. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that was intense. And it was,
yeah, moms of boys, right? It's like they catch us off guard.
Yeah,
like we're
sure.
like, gosh, you're such a little asshole. Right? And then all of a sudden they hit you with something. You're like, oh my God, you love me as much as I love you.
So I cried for 24 hours this week. Took him to the airport. He was, deployed to Afghanistan. And when I got home, I asked another one of them. I said, hey, did you read that note? Did you listen to that? He goes, yeah, no. And I came right back to reality. So
they have a way of keeping us humble too. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love, the environment that you've created for your children, and that no matter what it was that you were going through, whether it was you going through it, whether it was what you were going through as a family, you just created this environment of anything and everything is possible.
Absolutely.
And I remember as a young girl, my father really having this similar mentality of just anything and everything was possible if you just put your mind to it, And that is absolutely that stayed with me. And that is absolutely why I have swung for the things I've swung for, and that's my husband and I were just talking about this morning. It's like successful people just take risks, right? I don't think that we're necessarily brilliant. I don't think that we're it's not necessarily luck. We might fall down 100 times, but we're getting up 101 times. That's just the way that it works. So there's this beautiful resilience that you put in there.
It's when you're getting back up that the teaching lessons happen. Mm-hmm. And that, like I mentioned, the inner conversation on getting back up.
Yes.
That is a big conversation. It's a hard one. And modeling that was definitely something that was a big part of our family.
Yeah.
To try, and if it didn't work, okay, we try again. And to stay positive, to stay focused, and to keep going with it. Another big piece of that is to get to the place where you're grateful for all the screw ups.
Yes.
Those become, and I have found out of my biggest messes, some of the biggest blessings. So one of the things that is a big conversation with the children, with work, with clients, with all of it, is that, when it goes bad, and when it's really bad, to have this attitude, we got something great about to come out of this. Don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be something great. And to shift that overwhelm, despair, frustration, anger into, let's go find what the blessing is in this mess. And I will say, out of my biggest messes have been some of the biggest blessings.
Yes, I love that whole mindset. I got put onto that as an adult for sure, but flipping that, and really believing that. And I agree. And whether it's what it was written before, or whether there's this element of, what you observe manifests, right? Like science, the quantum has proven that, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, is it that you are observing your gratitude? Is it that you are expecting your blessing? And because you are expecting it, it comes along your path, So I love that you shaped their vision of what was possible, even in the hard times, and that resilience. And I can relate to this as well. I had some different motivators. My motivators were not nearly as virtuous as yours. If I had to say like where my resilience came from and what the underlying thing was there for me, it was that I didn't want to lose. And the thought of losing at anything, no matter what it was, just really pissed me off. So it started with this fire, but over time that fire got tempered and I started to see what you're talking about, which is no matter what life threw at me, and it's thrown some haymakers for sure. If I think a lot of people will try to bypass, right? They don't want to sit with whatever it is that's going on.
Absolutely.
And really process that. They want to bypass it, whether it's, I want to distract myself from this. I want to just look on the bright side and not really deal with everything that's going on with me. Blame, deflect, project, right? All those things. But when you can sit with it, allow it to flow through you, then release it, right? And then figure out, okay, how can I use this, right? What can I get from this situation? And, or like you said, create that space for miracles, create that space for blessings.
I did have this attitude, though, that was, success is my best revenge.
Oh, yeah, I had that one too, girl. I
was about to, let me just, absolutely.
And I think, when it starts there, I think for a lot of folks, where maybe it doesn't have the highest vibration initially, but I don't know how it was in your experience, but for me, it was like, as it unfolded, that wasn't even really, right. I didn't even want that anymore. Like that feeling, I was over it.
Right.
But it did get me started. And
it was the energy to go.
Right. And I think don't fault yourself for it. Yeah. Don't get stuck there. Yeah. Don't get stuck there. Right. But like if you're there, I think you're on the right track, but just keep reaching, right? For like a higher vibration to pull you through the resilience until you get to that place where it's like, oh, the blessing is coming. There's something coming for me and I can't wait to see what it is.
Yep. I've exchanged efforting for receiving.
Ooh, I got to snap on that one. Efforting for receiving. Talk more about that.
So as I mentioned, for years, having a personal business plan every year, the goals I wanted to accomplish, there's 23 to 24 of them per month, for crying out loud. And just that whole energy behind that. And then to understand that you can just relax a little bit. There's force versus power.
Yes.
So instead of forcing it, just relaxing your power and learning to receive. So it's an ongoing lesson.
Yeah.
I keep having to remind myself a little bit. I'll go out and, I'm in real estate and you have to hustle a little bit in real estate. You got to make those tough calls. You've got to, and things break and you're just always, creating and pushing and
hustling.
Hardcore hustling sometimes for sure. And overcoming problem solving.
Yeah.
Technically, there's a huge amount. That's actually my job description. I'm a problem solver on so many levels. So to begin to think, instead of just forcing, instead of just pushing, that I'm going to relax a hot minute and just allow. And having that space sometimes allows creative different opportunities to show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that has been one of the biggest lessons for me over the last 12 months. And my business coach, she was here this morning. We were doing an interview, but we were talking about it because last summer she forced me to take 7 days off. And the funny story is she said, I want you to take 7 days off. And I went, in a row? What? And I was like, ooh, and it was hard for me. It was really hard for me. And I had to kind of observe, like my resistance to being and not doing. I had to observe my resistance to that. And it was so interesting because at the end of that 7 days, I had received the download for what became the foundation of the body of work that I am now practicing. Wow. And as I reflected on that, I was like, I quantum leaped in those 7 days. I shifted timelines. My entire reality changed from those 7 days of resting and receiving. And now what I'm noticing, right, is when I give myself that space, to your point, it can flow. I'm not forcing things. I'm receiving and I'm allowing the power to flow. And that's where my best ideas come from. My best IP comes from. I leap because I can see things clearer. So something that would have taken me 3 weeks now takes me 3 days because I got that light bulb. And I think there's something just so magical about that people are fighting against. And if they would just allow themselves to receive instead of pushing so hard, it might come through so much greater.
So one of the little tricks in learning to receive is to act as if and say thank you. So to sit with thank you that this problem is solved and I get to enjoy, the other side of that. Like that is the part that allows you to receive the solution. So there's this part of acting as if it's been solved, acting as if it has shown up, and being grateful. And that's when it does. So
that's so beautiful. Well, you've learned so much along the way, and you've had such an incredible journey. And for you now, it's all about legacy. So as we get ready to wrap up, I would love to hear from you. What is this vision of legacy that you have?
On a fun note, I keep saying to my 7 children, you were the dry run. The 12 grandchildren are now the next in line. And I love where I'm at and the ability to start talking to the grandkids this way. That is a whole new idea, and it has made so much that I've gone through feel worth it. And I'm excited for their success and growth and watching all of that. And that's, I guess, where this legacy comes through, right?
Yeah.
It's like I said, the children are now 30s, have children, and they're all on their own. And so now the next little ones, and they have shifted me and changed me to, have little ones come running and jumping, and like they can't wait to see you. My kids didn't do that. Grandkids do. Grandkids still like seeing me. Kids are like, Mom's here. No, just kidding. But I'm hoping because they're all still little too, but as they mature and grow, that legacy of all the stuff that we did as a family will be part of their legacy too. Yeah.
It's always amazing to me to think about the many things that came into my conscious awareness about after it started for me at about 26 was when really I would say my consciousness really got activated. And it's a lifelong journey, as you know, but like over the last 10 years as that has unfolded and now I've been able to share that wisdom with my sons. And I'm not a Nina yet, but I'm a bonus Nina. I have a bonus grandson. But when I am a Nina, what is so exciting to me is that I get to pass this on and they're going to get it as children.
Right. Exactly.
They're not going to have to wait until they're an adult to have this in their awareness, and just how that will shift their lifetimes is like mind blowing to me.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here today. Your story is just so inspiring. It is just one of the most powerful things, truly, that I have ever heard. And it is an honor to help share that story, and it's an honor to help support you. And I so look forward to the many lives that you're going to continue to touch through the work that you do.
I am so grateful for this time and for allowing an opportunity to be vulnerable and share those sort of things with the intention of inspiring, with the intention of legacy, with the intention of encouraging others to go be all they could be.
You are a blessing. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.